People want to know things about us. So let's answer them. Wait, careful, careful, go! Miss Allie's under there. Oh my god. You almost literally crushed her. Hello everybody, it is Dingle here and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing super duper well. Today I am going to be answering all of your recent burning questions about my past, my future plans, babies, moving, Jack and I's relationship, all of the juicy stuff. Before we get into it, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you like this sort of content or Sims content or any other lifestyle content that we do on this channel. And also if you're new and you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, make sure you do that so that we can spend more time together. And without further ado, let's get into this Q&A. I asked you guys over on Instagram, but also on my community tab on the channel. So if you don't, I don't know how you follow a community tab, but if you don't follow, I don't know how that works. But watch out for posts that I do on the community tab. And also if you are on Instagram, make sure to follow me because I do polls and fun like Q&A stuff on there like all the time. So make sure you follow me there so you don't miss out on the next video. All right, I'm going to answer kind of the solo questions first, and then I think I'll just call Jack on in. Oh, bye Miss Allie, okay, bye. And then I think what I'll do is call Jack on in to answer some of these couple questions. There she goes. Does anyone else's cat do that? Like crawl, literally like climb themselves up underneath the covers? So the first question has to do with Jack and I moving across the country. It's what was the hardest part about moving across the country? And then the second half of that question is what's been your favorite memory in Seattle? So if you guys don't know, Jack and I moved across the country 2.5-ish years ago from our home in Connecticut. It was like our current home in Connecticut. We're from Massachusetts, so we moved across the country, all of our stuff, all of our, just our whole lives to Seattle, Washington. I think the absolute hardest part about moving across the country was leaving our families, hands down. There was really nothing else besides like the unknown. I think was pretty stressful. We didn't necessarily have an apartment picked out before we moved, and we also have never moved that far. So like figuring out the U-Haul, the hotels, the gas, how to get our cats out there, like it was just a lot of unknown territory. But that all kind of figured itself out, and we were able to like team up and just tackle it together. I think the hardest part was leaving our families. We're both very family-oriented humans, and so leaving our family and knowing that we'd be gone for a few years was definitely the hardest part. I would say the best memory that I have so far from Seattle, I think in general, all of the outdoorsy hiking situations that we have explored and gotten ourselves into. Specifically, I remember going to Snow Lake for the first time, and I've vlogged Snow Lake a couple of times, so if you're wondering what that looks like, you can always just search Snow Lake on my channel. We found ourselves in like the snow-capped mountains. There was snow, but it was like 80 degrees, but because we were so high up, the snow was like still there, and then the most insane thing I've ever seen. So that's the memory I can think of that was been like my absolute favorite. The next question I'm gonna answer is if I ever have been bullied. And absolutely, I definitely have been what I consider bullied, and I think what everyone would consider bullied, quite honestly, but in different ways. So the most outright bullying that I've experienced, I just remember in like kindergarten or first grade being on the bus and somebody making fun of my turtlenecks. That was really sad. Like I loved turtlenecks and I wore them all the time, but then all of a sudden my mom was so confused because all of a sudden I didn't want to wear turtlenecks anymore, and it was because someone was like making fun of my turtlenecks. I also on the bus in like, this is so nasty, but like someone spit in my hair one time. Like this was like 2nd or 3rd grade on the bus. I was such a quiet, shy person that I think when all of the kids were like hung up and bullies were happening and people were being mean and stuff, like I was such a target for like just gross, like weird things like that. So I promise you, if you are being bullied or picked on at school, it is going to be a very distant memory when you get a little bit older, and it does not continue for the rest of your life. I promise you. It's such a blip in your story and you can move on from that, I promise. And then the only other part of bullying that I would mention is when I got into high school, it's kind of like an underlying bullying situation. I was part of this girl clique and I made an entire story time, which I'll link down below, because if anyone is going through that, I encourage you to watch that video just because I lived all the way through it. I lived past it, and it was one of the worst experiences experiences, I think, living through something like that, but I learned a lot from it, so go check that out. But yeah, I would consider that bullying. It was like psychological warfare in a way, but I would definitely consider that kind of like a bully situation too. This one was really fun. So this came from one of my old gymnastics teammates, and she asked, what's the best thing blank and gymnastics, so it's the gym that I went to, and gymnastics in general taught you? P.S. So proud of all of you accomplished. Oh, thanks so much, love. I appreciate that. So for those of you guys who don't know, I actually did gymnastics for 8 years of my life. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember the grade I started in. I could probably figure it out, but I remember ending in 8th grade. And I did competitive gymnastics. You know, you're on a team, you have routines, and you do competitions every weekend. You spend about 20 hours a week in the gym. So you go to school, you come home, get dressed, or you get dressed right after school if your practice is like right after school, and then you get bused to the gym by your parents, who give up so much time driving you back and forth from that gym, and you practice your heart out, and your teammates become your best friends. I would say in general, gymnastics and slash like the gym that I specifically went to, if I could boil it down, it taught me 2 things. I think it taught me confidence. As I said before, I was such a shy kid. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, like I was so shy throughout all of those years, but gymnastics truly taught me to be confident in myself, to get up, to perform. Like through competition, you're the only person on that event. So you're the only person on the balance beam being judged by like 3 or 4 judges. And so I really had to hone in on any confidence that I had inside me to get up and perform. And that's something that I probably wouldn't have figured out along the way if I didn't have gymnastics. And this next one is not really like what it taught me, but I'm so grateful for gymnastics because of that friend aspect. I think looking back on it, it was so healthy to have an outside group of friends from school, just because like everyone, especially in middle school when like drama started happening and mean girly cliquey things started happening, I wasn't involved in that throughout middle school. And so middle school, I look back on, it really wasn't that bad of a time, when I know a lot of people look back on middle school and they think it's like the worst years of their lives because people can be so mean in middle school. I didn't have that because my friends were completely removed from that, so whatever was going on at school, I got to separate myself with my friends at the gym. So we kind of became each other's like safe havens, I guess, and we always went over each other's houses for sleepovers or birthday parties or something like that. So having that separate group was such a blessing looking back on that. Did you and your brother fight a lot when you were younger? Oh my gosh. So I have 2 brothers. I'm the oldest, then I have a middle brother, and then I have a youngest brother. So the middle brother's name is Sam, the youngest brother's name is Gabe, for those of you who don't know, but they have been on this channel multiple times before. I'll speak to both. So I would say that Sam and I were inseparable as little kids. Then as we got older, I remember this period of time where we just like hated each other. Like, not hated, that's such a strong word, I think, but like we grew apart, we didn't like hang out together, we weren't each other's first choice in hanging out, and I think it was really when like middle school gymnastics-y like type of things started, because it's just we didn't have a lot of time to like spend together, and when we did, it was just like bickering. That's how I would put it. We always were trying to push each other's buttons and knew exactly what button to push. But then I think more towards the end of high school and when I went off to college is when we grew really close again, and so we're totally like back to just being normal close siblings. We text each other, we call each other. And then Gabe, I don't think Gabe and I ever really fought. We're so far apart in age, we're about 6 years apart, so he was always the baby brother, but he was always the one that really was pushing Sam and I's buttons, I would say, but he was just the typical annoying younger brother. It wasn't like we all fought a lot or anything. It was just a typical older sibling versus younger sibling, like, don't go in my room, don't take my stuff, like that type of thing, but I would never say that we fought necessarily. Hey Bubby! Jack! Hey Jack! I have questions for you. Okay. Hi Bubby!
You have questions for me?
Yes, we do! People want to know things about us, so let's answer them. Wait, careful! Miss Allie's under there! Oh my god!
What are you doing? I almost wailed you.
You almost literally crushed her. Okay, Bub, save some of these questions to answer for both of us. What kind of lives did you two live before you moved in with each other, and then how did moving somewhere else and living with each other affect you both? We were both in college before we like moved in with each other because we moved in with each other right after college. I'll just speak for myself. I think my life was more like hanging out with friends, and then Jack and I would see each other all the time, but like we were kind of like living separately. What was your life before we moved in with each other? And we'll answer that next question.
I think mine was very similar. I mean, we didn't really change. I think that's the weird thing.
That's what's hard to answer this question, I think.
It's because it's like you're expecting
like a difference, but it's really not different. Like when we moved in with each other, I would say the only difference that changed, because we're still like very like friend oriented. Jack still like plays online but streams now, which is kind of cool, so it kind of evolved from there. So nothing really changed, and we still like live those lives, but I think if I could name something that changed only from like not living together to living together, is that we became each other's like true best friends. Before we were each other's best friend. Like at least you were my best friend. I don't know if I was your best friend.
Maybe.
Okay. It was one of those things like we were around each other all the time, and like we take time apart, not on purpose, but like if I want to go somewhere, I just go somewhere, and if Jack wants to stay home, he'll just stay home. It's more like whenever I want a companion or whenever like we want to do something, like we always have another person right there to do it with. That's the only thing that I would say changed, is like I always have someone to like hang out with now.
Like that's why it's kind of weird, because like not much has changed.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just unusual.
Maybe that's not the norm. Maybe people are like, yeah, my life before we moved in together was like mysterious and like this, and then we moved in after and it was like super different.
Yeah,
No, it's been the same for us, I think. I'm just gonna break this question down. I think we got 6, 7, 8, we got a lot of questions about this. Kids.
Yes.
Yes. The children, the kids question.
Well, here comes one right now.
Come here, sweetie. Hi, fur baby.
See, we have fur children.
We have 2 fur children,
and this
actually.
is all we will have. Question answered.
Oh my God. I think I've thought about this question because we do get asked online this question a lot, and which is not a bad thing. That seems like the next step in any relationship, right? So you move in, you get engaged, you get married, and then when are the kids coming? It's not that we're not ready mentally, I feel like, to have kids. Like it's more of like life circumstances. To me, at least. That's I'm just answering for me. Like, I'm not in like a physical place as well as like kind of a mental state-ish to have kids right now. I really want to like figure more out about our lives and what we want out of our lives and what our true goals are in life before bringing a child into that kind of world. It's not that we're not happy with where we're at, it's just definitely not like settled enough, at least in my head. It feels not as settled as I would like it to be before we bring little dingle Schaefers into this world.
Yeah, I think there are more important priorities before bringing little Billy into this world. But no, I think there's just so many goals and like things that we'd like to do before we have kids.
Yeah.
So we just recognize now is not the time. Sorry, Ilya.
Sorry,
Uncle.
Sorry, Uncle Ilya, you're gonna have to wait.
But to answer your question, yeah, we've thought about having kids.
We obviously want kids.
Absolutely. It'll come eventually.
Yeah, and I would say people are asking when, and people are doing this. Like, honestly, like, I'm ready, but I'm not ready. Like, mentally, like, I'm like, oh my, I love babies. Like, I would literally have a kid probably right now. But like, I just know that the circumstances are not right. All right, some specific questions about kids. Let's see. Someone asked kind of about on the kids question, but they were saying, are you and Jack ever going to get more animals or have any kids? So on the animals portion, we really want a dog. I really want
can't wait for a dog.
I know.
We need like a bigger space and an apartment that allows them.
Yeah, our apartment doesn't allow dogs, and also we can't imagine bringing another animal besides these 2 cats into such a small space. Someone asked how many kids. Right now, I say 4. What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, I would go 2, 3.
2 to 3. I like at least 3, but I like even numbers, so that's kind of where I'm at with 4. Yeah.
Well, 2's a really good even number.
2, it feels like such a small family to me. I think that's all of the kids' questions. We are going to wrap up this Q&A. Thank you so much for joining the last part of my Q&A, Bubby.
My pleasure.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up because it lets us know that you like the content. If you're new here and you've made it all the way to the end of the video and haven't hit the subscribe button yet, make sure you do that down below so that we can spend more time together and you guys get notified whenever I post. Hit the bell if you want to do that. That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah. And I will catch all of you guys in my next video. See you later. Bye.
Bye.